Welcome back to my channel as we explore day 2 in Key West, Florida. Today we eat breakfast at the famous Blue Heaven and we rent scooters, which is always our favorite day of the trip. The scooters are a great way to see more of Key West in a short amount of time, and of course they're really fun as well. On this trip we took the scooters to two places that were new to us and both ended up being absolute favorites. The first was the West Martello Tower, where the Key West Garden Club is located, and the second was Fort Zachary Taylor. You are going to want to stick around to see both of these spots because they are amazing. Finally, we eat a late lunch at a really unique restaurant that I also think you're going to find pretty cool, so stick around and let's jump into Key West Day 2. The very first thing we did on this morning was rent our scooters, and I said this in the last video, but Key West in the morning is just a whole different world. We love being on Duval Street and the side streets as well for that matter in the morning when it's empty and there's no one there. Duval Street is a whole different world early in the morning, so like 9 a.m. is early in the morning. It's a way different world at 9 a.m. than it is at 9 p.m. It really, really is. So if you've been there at 9 p.m., you can tell in this video that it's way different. And vice versa. So it's just a unique experience to get a little bit of both on our trips. Plus, I'm always a little bit nervous to rent scooters. At first, it takes me a minute to get adjusted on the scooter. After just a few minutes, I love it and I enjoy the ride, but it's always nice to get on the scooter when the roads are not quite so busy. It makes me feel a lot better. We love renting scooters in Key West. It helps us easily explore the whole island, which would be kind of tough to do otherwise. So this is something that we do on one day of every single trip to Key West. Our first stop on this day was Blue Heaven for breakfast, which is something we somehow have never managed to do on any other trip to Key West. Blue Heaven is definitely walkable from Duval and is not one of those places that you need a scooter to get to, but when we saw that there was no line, we knew we had to take our chance and stop and eat at this famous restaurant. We are finally eating breakfast at Blue Heaven. This place has been recommended to us so many times, and every time we tried to come, the line is super, super long. We're so excited to be able to get in here today. They have a huge history, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'll put it on the screen for you to read. But basically, my favorite part was it. So like this property has been here for like years and years. They sold booze to the Key Westers, I believe, even through the prohibition. So like this place has a lot of history. There used to be like cockfighting, gambling, boxing, that sort of thing. It's also been a dance hall, a gallery, it's been all sorts of things, but now it's Blue Heaven. It's been Blue Heaven since 1992, I believe. So again, I'll put this on the screen, but that's like my favorite part, that there's like so much history. We just ordered some lobster and steak Benedicts for breakfast, so we're pretty excited about that. So yeah, first time here, even though it's like a must visit, everyone says. So excited to finally be able to eat here. After breakfast, we hopped back on our scooters and eventually we made our way to Higgs Beach. Higgs Beach has a pier that you can walk out onto as well as volleyball courts, and there is a playground really close by as well, which I'll show you in a second. On Higgs Beach is a restaurant called Salute, which has amazing views of everything. You can stop in for a full meal or you can just get a drink. Either way, it's an amazing place to stop right on the beach at Higgs Beach in Key West. Here is one of the playgrounds, and I just had to show you because look at the view. I think this playground has the best view that I have ever seen. And I thought, if you're watching this and you have kids, you need to know about this place. Just steps away from Higgs Beach is the West Martello Tower and Key West Garden Club. So just a bit of backstory, I had mentioned in my last video that I interned in Key West my first college summer. Well, we were obsessed with learning about haunted Key West when I was there, and we learned about Robert the Doll in the process, of course. Well, Robert the Doll lives at the Martello Museum, and we really wanted to go visit him. We did, and it was an amazing experience, but while we were there, we also liked the museum itself because it had a lot of history, and it was an old Civil War era fort. So we've visited the Martello Museum several times on return trips and have loved it every time. Because of that, I was curious about the West Martello Tower. Just in case this is confusing, basically the Martello Museum is where I had visited before. Its official name is the Fort East Martello Museum, and I was drawn to the West Martello Tower where we visited on this day because of the similar name. Just like Fort East Martello, the West Martello Tower is a Civil War era fort, but it was never finished. It's had a number of purposes throughout the years, like it's been a quarry, it's housed troops during the Spanish-American War, and it also held radio stations during both of the World Wars. The Navy even used it for target practice, but eventually the fort became basically an eyesore and it was going to get torn down until the Key West Garden Club took over. They have preserved the West Martello Tower since 1947 and they've done an amazing job, as you can see. The gardens are absolutely stunning and you cannot beat the views. There were a bunch of them there when we visited on this day and they were working so hard to keep this place gorgeous. I kind of wanted to join them, but that wouldn't be very helpful. I'm not great at gardening, but they were so in their element. They seemed so peaceful and so happy to be there. And of course, it would be easy to be because it's just so gorgeous. We were blown away by this place and we didn't know what it was. We had no expectations. So I'm really glad that we stumbled on it. Entrance is free, but donations are encouraged, and it's definitely worth paying a sort of entrance fee or donation to visit. We jumped back on our scooters and headed down the road to Smathers Beach. We grabbed coffee from a food truck, and maybe I should call it a coffee truck. But anyways, Smathers is the most popular beach and it's always stunning. I love how many palm trees are just covering the beach here. This is one of the most popular places for spring breakers in Key West, so that's good to know. But we did a quick walk on Smathers Beach and got right back onto the scooter. This might look familiar if you saw my last video. It's Truman Annex, which we drove through on this day instead of walking, but we drove through to get to our next destination, which was Fort Zachary Taylor. Alright, now we're here at Fort Zachary Taylor. This beach is beautiful. I almost don't have words. There's also a fort in this state park. So because it's a state park, you're going to pay to get in. For the two of us on a scooter, it was $5 total. So super reasonable. This is the most beautiful beach of all of them, I think. This is incredible. And so actually, fun fact, I interned here with the Navy when I was like 19 years old, and there's a military beach just down the way, right down the beach, and that's the beach that we used to go to because it was free and it was beautiful and we were always the only ones on it. So it's really crazy to be back. Even though we've been back several times, we've never been here, like even though I've been to Key West. So just cool to see the military beach after all this time where I used to hang out. And then just incredible to see this. This is so beautiful. I know I'm repeating myself. I just don't know how to express how insanely gorgeous it is here. I guess I'll just let the videos do the talking because it's beautiful.
I don't wanna stay here, no. Ain't gonna keep it low now. If you wanna go
I was so distracted telling you how beautiful it is that I forgot a few of the details. You can rent chairs and the umbrellas here. For one umbrella and 2 chairs, it's $40 a day. So pretty good price. There's also prices for just chairs and such, but you have a general idea. That's about how much it'll be. Reasonable for all day. And then behind me, I think you can probably see that there are tons and tons of picnic tables. So there's picnic tables, there's even some grills so you can bring your food. Alcohol is not allowed and glass bottles are not allowed, but otherwise you can bring whatever and have the best beach day. There's a concession stand here with like burgers, hot dogs, beverages, things like that, and a bathroom. So this is a great place to have a wonderful beach day. And now we're gonna go check out the fort, which I'm super excited about. So let's check out the fort. Fort Zachary is a real fort that was completed in 1866 after 21 years of construction. It was built to defend the U.S. after the War of 1812, but it was used during the Spanish-American War, both World Wars, and the Cuban Missile Crisis. When it was no longer of use to the Army, the Navy took over the fort for maintenance, and it's now on the National Register of Historic Places, and it's also designated as a National Historic Landmark. This is obviously a very brief overview of the fort. You can get guided tours while you're visiting, but there's also tons of plaques that will tell you all about the history and all about like what you're looking at. So it's really, really worth visiting. It's such a unique place to visit in Key West. And I'd be happy to do a video on just the fort if that's something that you'd be interested in. So if it is, let me know in the comments. And while you're there, make sure to subscribe if you find this video interesting. Just like our last video, we really packed a lot into this day. We returned our scooters and then we grabbed a drink from Flying Monkeys. This is one of my favorite places to grab a drink because they have those like drink slushy machines, and I always get chocolate, which tastes like a chocolate milkshake, but anyways, it's really good and I recommend it. So we grabbed one of those to walk around before we found a place to eat. And we ended up wandering into Mary Ellen's for lunch, which is another first for us in Key West. We think this place is so cool, and we got grilled cheese sandwiches. It was happy hour, so we also got buy one get one drinks, which was just a great way to start our evening. Mary Ellen's is famous for their vibrator races, and yep, you heard that right, they're vibrator races, and they literally race vibrators, and the proceeds of that event go to charity. So all in all, Mary Ellen's is just a really unique place to eat lunch in Key West, and I really recommend checking it out, whether you're there for the races or just for lunch like we were. We ended the night just like we ended it in our last video, with bar hopping, listening to music, and just generally having a good time. I don't have a lot of footage because it would be pretty boring to watch live music without being able to listen to the live music because of YouTube's copyright claims, but you'll just have to trust us that the music was great and we had a good time. We actually have one more video in this series on Key West. I hope you'll join us for our third and final Key West video from this trip. If that's something that you are interested in, make sure to hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss it when we release it next week.
Go.
Okay, we are at... Hello. So bright.
Huh.